Welcome to today's webinar, Teaching Online Best Practices. My name is Gloria Washington. I am an instructional designer at the Center for Teaching Excellence. And joining me from CTE are Leanne Holly, Administrative Assistant, and Mary Huddle Hahn, Instructional Designer. Teaching Online Best Practices is an overview for designing, developing, and delivering an online course. This webinar is broken into two parts. Part 1 is Best Practices Overview, and Part 2 is Design, Develop, and Deliver. There are 3 other webinars that cover details for design, which is planning your online course, develop, which is building your online course, and deliver, teach your online course. Take a second to read the copyright statement now on the screen. So some content within this presentation may be covered, copyrighted, and used by the fair use exception. So in part 1 of the webinar, we'll look at the following best practices: 7 principles of good practice in undergraduate education, backward design, universal design for learning, distributed learning quality assurance standards, syllabus best practices and syllabus templates, as well as a Blackboard online course template. So looking at the 7 principles of good practice in undergraduate education, the first 2 principles deal with the instructor-to-student interactions and student-to-student interactions. Instructors can interact with their students at the start of an online course by posting a welcome video. Student introductions are a great way for students to get to know each other and build community. Also, instructors can communicate with students through weekly announcements. So for your student introductions, you can use apps such as Flipgrid, which is a great way for students to record videos of themselves so other students can see them as well as hear them, and students can also comment on those videos that the students post. And as an instructor in the Blackboard environment, you can post weekly announcements to keep in contact and let your students know what's going on in the class. Principle number 3, encourage active learning. We always want to keep in mind that learning is not a spectator sport. We don't show up in the arena to watch the actual basketball game, but we participate as students and we participate as instructors in the online environment. So not only do you want your students to be actively engaged, reflecting on their learning, doing different things within the class, you want to also be present in the class as well. Respond to student questions and problems quickly. Up front, you want to let the students know how you plan on communicating with them. If you don't check your email on the weekends, feel free to let students know that you'll only be checking your emails Monday through Friday. If students do post or send you email questions, you want to make sure that you respond to them, within 24 to 48 hours. It may be longer on the weekend, but just let students know up front how you're going to give feedback. If they have a graded assignment, when will you grade those particular assignments? Emphasize time on task. So time plus energy equals learning. So in the online environment, especially in the online environment, you want to keep the students on task so that they don't lose track of what's required, what's not required, and what they should be doing on a regular basis. So you want to emphasize your deadlines, not only in your syllabus. You want to send out weekly reminders, you can do emails, you can do announcements, but let the students know about upcoming deadlines as well. If you have a large project that's due in your class, make sure that you break that into manageable pieces for the students And then within each week, you want to remind the students, okay, this particular piece of the project is due this week, and you want to keep reminding the students so that they'll be working on those large projects as the course progresses and not the last week of the actual class. Number 6, communicate high expectations. So provide students with detailed explanations and expectations in the syllabus. So provide them with rubrics for their projects, for their papers, detailing what must be accomplished, and then how you would grade them based upon each piece of that paper or project. So this allows students to know exactly what is expected of them. Lastly, many roads lead to learning. So different students bring different talents, different styles to college. So develop and implement your course using proven learning theories. Incorporate a variety of activities into your course, including opportunities for collaboration, group and individual projects. You may have some papers. You may also do some low-stake assessments, have a couple of discussions. So present your course materials in a variety of methods to reach the most learners possible. Backward design. Learning outcomes and objectives are the first step in backward design. As such, they hold the primary spot in the course design and development process to ensure meaningful learning experiences for students. The use of backward design provides for more relevant and meaningful learning experiences. It ensures that the required course outcomes are met, and it prepares students to perform successfully throughout the course. So backward design starts with the end, the desired results, and focuses on what students need to know, understand, and be able to do as a result of provided instruction. So backward design can be summarized into 3 processes or 3 steps. First, identify desired outcomes. Articulate what learners should be able to understand and do after your provided instruction. Then determine your acceptable evidence. This is your assessments. Identify what type of assessments and measures would clarify or serve as evidence of when and what students can perform, how they can perform the desired outcome. Then plan learning experiences and instruction. So develop your instructional materials, your exercises, your assignments around those desired outcomes and the desired evidence. When it comes to learning, variability is the rule, not the exception. As I discuss universal design for learning, think about how it might inform your teaching. So universal design for learning focuses on curriculum development that gives all individuals equal opportunity to learn. 3 primary principles, which are based on neuroscience research, guide UDL and provide the underlying framework for the guidelines. First, provide multiple means of engagement. This is the why of learning, and it refers to how students engage with the course content, the instructor, and other students, as well as how motivated students are to learn. Provide multiple means of representation. This is the what of learning, and it refers to the ways that you present course content to your students. Improve your lecture presentations, like your PowerPoints, to visually present course content. Make your scanned text PDFs readable and searchable using an optical character recognition technology with Adobe Acrobat Pro. Provide a transcript and/or captions for all of your recorded videos. And provide audio files for class videos, such as so students can listen on the go. Provide multiple means of action and expression, the how of learning. And this refers to how students demonstrate what they have learned in your class. Keep in mind, just as learning preferences are diverse, so should the way students demonstrate their knowledge and understanding. The university's quality assurance standards for online and blended courses are based on the Quality Matters Higher Education Course Design Rubric Standards. The Quality Matters rubric is a set of standards used to ensure that online and blended courses encompass best practices and procedures. The university's quality assurance standards consist of 9 general standards, as shown here, and several specific standards. Within the quality assurance standards, there are 5 critical components: your learning outcomes objectives, assessment and measurement, instructional materials, learning activities and student interaction, and course technology that work together to ensure that students achieve desired learning outcomes and objectives. When aligned, each of these course components is directly tied to and supports the learning outcomes and objectives. Learning outcomes and objectives must come first because they serve as a guide to determine the other 4 critical components of the quality assurance standards. Now on your screen, you'll see information about syllabus best practices and templates. So of course, the primary purpose of a syllabus is to communicate to your students what the course is about, why it is taught, where it is going, and what will be required of the students for them to complete your course with a passing grade. And because students review your syllabus as a contract, it is important to be clear as possible and to avoid changing major aspects of the syllabus after the first day of class. The syllabus templates at the Center for Teaching Excellence make your syllabus development easier. They're located on our website under our teaching resources. So if you go to sc.edu/CTE and go to teaching resources, you can find templates here for face-to-face courses, for online courses, as well as blended courses. So lastly, in our part 1, the Blackboard online course template. So to help you meet the quality assurance standards, and especially the standard number 38, which is course navigation facilitates ease of use, the Blackboard template provides consistent, logical, efficient navigation throughout the course, consistent layout and design employed throughout, making content, instructional materials, assessments, tools, and media easy to locate from anywhere within your course. Also, the template has boilerplate language that you can modify for your specific course. And the course template is available through an instructional designer at the Center for Teaching Excellence. A couple of more things about this Blackboard online course template. When you take a look at this particular slide, you'll see a couple of areas like your start here. So you're letting students know exactly where to start. So you will provide information to them that would be helpful for them to get started with your class. Course information. This is information, of course, about the class. And some of this stuff, actually most of the information in the course information section in Blackboard comes directly from your syllabus. And of course, you will post your syllabus and schedule. And then down in the course content area, you will have course modules. So in your online environment, before you start building it out, and even before you get into Blackboard, you want to think about how you want to divide your content up. Because you're not going to present all the content at one time. You want to divide it. So some people may divide it by chapters. Some people may divide it by units. Some people may divide it by what we call weekly modules. And so each week will represent 7 days or so. And I see a question about how does Flipgrid work with Blackboard. Flipgrid is not directly integrated into Blackboard, but Flipgrid is a part of our Office 365 environment. Once you get into your Office 365 environment, you can choose the Flipgrid option, and you can set up your Flipgrid and require students to use their UofSC login information to get into the Flipgrid, and then you will provide a link in Blackboard for the students to click on to go to the actual Flipgrid. Must one request the Blackboard course, online course template, or can it be posted? No, you have to individually send an email. And Leanne, if you can push out our email address, I appreciate it. Thank you. You can send an email to the main CTE email address. If you're working with an instructional designer, feel free to directly email that instructional designer, or you can also feel free to email me as well. So what the template does is we place the template into what we call a sandbox course. And the sandbox course is a class in Blackboard, a course shell that has no students. And then it would just be you and the instructional designer in that class. And we will push out we'll do a course copy, the template into that. And then you will build your class into the sandbox. And when you have it done, you can course copy it, or you can have us or DOIT course copy it into your actual live Blackboard class. And I mentioned Adobe Acrobat Pro. And will the university be making that available? To my knowledge, I don't believe they are making it available, but I would recommend that you check with your specific department to see if they can get that software for you so that you can have it on your computer. And I'm not sure of the cost. 200 seems high, but I think there is an educational version. If you contact DOIT, Division of Information Technology, I do believe that this is one of the softwares that you can purchase through them and get an educational price. And if not, I'm sure Adobe has an educational price for it as well. But be sure to try to get it through the educational price. Let's see, you mentioned instructors creating welcome videos. Would we do this in addition to the welcome announcement? What information should we include? Yes, the welcome announcement would be your regular announcement that you would put into Blackboard as shown on the screen now. For your welcome video, of course, you would introduce yourself, and then you can talk about the class, what students can expect. You want to show them how excited you are about the content, because you want them to be excited as well. So you can include some instructors do a Blackboard tour where they will show the students the different environment in Blackboard. Some do a syllabus, show different important points within the syllabus. So that it just depends on what you would like to put in that video. Okay, any thoughts on Blackboard Collaborate versus Adobe Web Connect for giving online courses? Where right now Blackboard Collaborate is being pushed out as the preferred method for holding either live or pre-recorded online courses. I'm not sure how long Adobe is going to continue to be available at the university, but Blackboard Collaborate, I would say go that route. Of course, Adobe have different things that Collaborate don't have. If you already have content in Adobe, you also may want to just have a conversation with Division of Information Technology or e-learning services about that as well. And campus support for Blackboard Collaborate, we do have campus support for that, definitely because it is in the Blackboard environment. And so if you didn't get a chance to grab those documents from the welcome slide or part 1, the documents are posted here again. You can download those documents if you have not already downloaded them. So now in part 2, we're going to take a look at some components of the 3Ds instructional design model for online courses: design, develop, deliver. And I made a notation here that this does not include all components. So all components of the design, develop, deliver phases are not in this particular presentation or webinar. So under design, we're going to talk about course learning outcomes, your module learning objectives. We'll talk a little bit about develop, which is build your online course. We'll talk about the Blackboard Learning Management System. And then we'll talk a little bit about communication and feedback as part of delivering, teaching your actual online class. Okay. So this slide talks about learning outcomes and learning objectives. The revised Bloom's taxonomy, which is an attached document in your document area, provides the framework for writing course level learning outcomes, and even module level learning objectives. So each learning outcome is represented by a sentence that consists of a measurable action verb related to a cognitive process and clearly defines content related to a specific knowledge type. So learning outcomes describe the measurable skills, abilities, knowledge, or values that students should be able to demonstrate as a result of completing your class. They are student-centered rather than teacher-centered, in that they describe what the students would do, not what the instructor would teach. So as with learning outcomes, learning objectives describe the measurable skills, abilities, knowledge, or values that students should be able to demonstrate as a result of completing a module in the online environment. Again, they are student-centered rather than teacher-centered, and they describe what the student would do and not what the teacher would actually teach. So as you can see on this particular slide, course outcomes are on the left-hand side. So for outcomes A, you have 2 module level learning objectives, and then for outcome B, you have 1. So the module level objectives are broken down to further determine what it is you want the students to know, understand, and it is measurable based upon what you provide the student as well as for course content. This slide that I have up now is what I'm calling a post-webinar activity. Normally, when the webinar is face-to-face, I like to break up the participants into groups, and we address writing measurable, obtainable learning outcomes and objectives. So this worksheet is a part of the document, and this slide is in the PowerPoint that's also provided. So after this webinar, I encourage you to take a look at your course outcomes and then ask yourself these questions. Does the outcome start with an action verb? Is it measurable? So it should start with a measurable action verb. So instead of saying demonstrate understanding of, demonstrate is not necessarily a measurable action verb. Now we can say that it is a measurable, that it can be measurable, but as soon as we put in understanding of, it becomes unmeasurable. So demonstrate the process of writing a research paper. Okay, that's one example. Then, based on your course learning outcomes, you want to think about how you're going to break up your online class. And then you would determine your module learning objectives. And those are module specific. Okay, and that excludes your course, your getting started or your start here modules. So I'm going to move on. And as a part of designing your online environment, your online class, you don't want to just jump into Blackboard, our learning management system, and start building your actual online environment. You want to start with some planning of that. So once you have your learning outcomes and you have your module objectives, I recommend going into a Word document and typing out and planning your actual module. So your module can represent a week in a normal face-to-face class, a unit in a textbook, or content by topic. So you want to think to yourself, how can I break up my course into smaller chunks? Okay. And so here in this Word document, each module will contain a module overview. You want to let the students know what's going on in this module, what this module is about, what are they going to do in this specific module. Then you want to give them their objectives. You know, at the conclusion of this module, you will be able to let them know what they'll be able to do upon completing this specific portion of your online class. And then you want to provide them with a to-do list. This list is in numbered order, normally numbered, meaning that you want the students to follow it in the number order. So you don't want them to watch the lecture video before they read chapter 1. You don't want them to complete quiz 1 without reading the chapter and watching the actual videos. Some instructors like to use a table format. You can put this in a table as well. You'll notice the importance of due dates. This specific example shows the due dates within the actual to-do list item. You may have a paragraph at the end if all of your assignments are due basically on the same day. And again, you can also feel free to do a table as well. So continuing in that Word document, everything that's in the to-do list is broken down into that Word document. And so readings, because when you go to the Blackboard environment, you can easily copy and paste from your Word document into the Blackboard environment. So if you plan out everything ahead of time, it'll just be easier once you get into Blackboard. So you want to make sure you let the students know what the readings are. And of course, you're going to set up any assignments you have. If it's like a paper or if it's going to be a quiz, you want to provide all of that within the one module. If students are going to do a discussion board, make sure you put everything within that one module so that once students go into, for example, module 1, they can just stay in module 1. They don't have to go out to the course menu looking for where the discussion boards are or where are the assignments. You have everything organized neatly into one location. And they can come back and visit module 1 as many times as they need to. So the Blackboard learning management system. In the management system, I've been talking about course modules. So in Blackboard, you can use the content folder to build your modules. So with the folder format, you create the folder, you give the module a name. You can put the topic name at the module level. Some instructors like to put the dates that the module runs from, like June 1st through June 7th. So that's completely up to you, but it's best to create your folders for your module environment. Communication and feedback. I talked a little bit about this already, but in your Blackboard environment, of course, we have our announcements. I normally recommend that instructors have the announcement as their landing page in Blackboard. So as the first page that students see when they get into the Blackboard environment. So this way, if you post an announcement here, hopefully students are going to see it because it's the first thing that should pop up on their screen. And again, you can do weekly announcements. Depending upon what's going on in the class, you may have to do another type of announcement. I like to do weekly check-ins, so about midpoint or maybe on day 4 of the week, send out a check-in to see how the students are doing, see if they got any questions. So you can use that announcement feature. And in the Blackboard announcement feature, you have the option to actually send an email. But keep in mind, the email is sent immediately. So you can post the announcement and save the announcement, but then go back into the announcement and then check send announcement. And grade and feedback. Blackboard has several great features that can allow you to give detailed feedback. This slide is showing the feedback to the learner section, where not only you can give a grade, but you can give them information. And this is a My Course Delivery Plan. This document is also in your webinar documents. And basically, before you start teaching the online class, you want to make some decisions on some things. How will you set the stage in your class? You know, like, what are some things that I'm going to do so that I can model what I want students to do? How will you plan engagement? What are some things that you're going to do to keep the student engaged in the class? You know, plan facilitating online discussions. If you have a large class, you have 200 students, decide up front how you plan on engaging in those discussions. You know, when you participate in Module 1, you will follow the discussions for students whose last names begin with A through C. You know, and then in another module, maybe you'll focus on another group of students because it's a large class. If you have a smaller class, you may be able to, you know, be involved in those discussions on a module basis. And then how will you manage your time? Because it's online doesn't mean you have to be online all the time. So manage your time. What day will you do all your grading? So if you have your grading and assignments, let's say every module, your assignments are going to be due on Wednesday. So maybe you're going to set aside Thursdays for your day to grade those assignments. So you want to plan in all of that time. You know, time for when you're going to check the discussion boards. Time for when you're going to do some type of active engagement with the students. So you want to plan out everything ahead of time so that when it comes time to deliver your online class, you can not only be present, but you already have a plan for delivering and teaching that actual online class. Here, I'm going to put up a couple of slides for some support areas. And you'll see Center for Teaching Excellence, of course. If you need some help with pedagogical support, we are here for you at the Center for Teaching Excellence with instructional design. Of course, we provide professional development opportunities. We do events such as this. We can help you with some best practices resources. And then you have the Office of Distributed Learning. This is the office that provides support for our for those who are teaching 100% or 50% online. They can help with such things as recording videos, test proctoring, transcriptions, closed captions. So this office can help you with that as well. And again, these slides will be in that PDF file that's in your documents. You have the Division of Information Technology. Most people refer to them as the Blackboard support, but these are the people who can support you if you have specific questions or need help with technology, as well as your students. If they need help, this is where they would go. Student Disability Resource Center. They are there for you as well as for your students. Of course, you would provide that information in your syllabus as well, but they do provide that support for students who need those accommodations. And then, of course, you have your library system, which is a great resource if you need some course materials, if you're looking for some open educational resources, if you're looking for some audio video resources, if you need help with copyright. Definitely check out the Keep Teaching website. These resources are on the Keep Teaching website as well to point you in the right direction of who to contact depending upon what you need to do in your actual online class. This last slide is my information. And I just want to put out a plug for my educational technology blog. Monthly, I post a blog article related to either something pedagogical and something technology related. So the past few months I have been talking about the Blackboard learning environment. So feel free to visit the blog at your convenience and check out the articles that I wrote.